Hey everyone, I'm a crusty sock, and I just did the double question mark difficulty for Azta'rec in the first day of the new season, but the first week I got the Fabled achievement here to do that. I got that title. I just wanted to make this video just to kind of go over a couple things that I would like to know if I was doing this, and if you're struggling, you might find something useful here. So in this video, I am a Prot warrior. I am a 282.56 level Prot warrior. I'm just using stuff that I use for arms. Most of this stuff is still season 1. The only things I did was put on a shield and a sword. And everything else is just the exact same gear I use on my Fury or Arms set. Like I said, a lot of it was from season 1. This is the only new piece I got in the vault this week. This 4 out of 6 champ waist, and then I think I got like hands and maybe something else that was from last week when I was doing dungeons. The talents, I just picked I think this might even be season 1 delve talents, but I just copied the Wowhead delve talents, and that's what I used. Valeera in this video is level 51, which is, I think, quite low, but that's what I have her at. And then I have her as a healer. She's using this poison, this combat curio, and this utility curio. I just use these because these were the first ones that I had. I don't actually know if there's something better. I don't know if this is the meta or not. They seem to help, and that was fine. I tried it as arms. I could survive. It was a little iffy, though, and it was just a lot easier as a tank, so that's why I did it as tank. One thing I'd recommend doing is getting the Azta'rec helper add-on. Very helpful, so that way you don't have to actually memorize everything. What happens is that during the intermission, which happens at 90, 60, and 30%, you'll just click where the boss is. Whoops, let me switch this back. So when you install the add-on, you get this box. There's this arrow here as well that I don't know what that's for, so I didn't use that. And then you can switch which location everything is. So put down the world markers here as you see fit. North, obviously, looking at the minimap, is up here, so just make sure this matches. And then whatever icons you use, you can change them so that they're matching your setup. And then when the boss does the intermission, you'll just be clicking on each one, and it will tell you. You'll see it in the video that I'll show you. It'll tell you everything. It'll keep track of that, and then it'll tell you what to do. You can also go in the options, and you can turn on the spoken word. I changed it from the Q voice, because it's like left, forward, stay, right. I just changed it to markers, so that way it was a little easier to hear. I don't know. There we go. So.
New. Skull. Cross. Triangle.
So. That's what it sounds like. I don't like that cross is what they use for X. It's a little bit disorienting. So that's pretty much it. I didn't use any specific buffs or any flasks or potions or anything like that. I just had the ethereal augmentation rune from the last expansion, and then just my battle shout, and then whatever Valeera gives me. I think I used the feast on the pull that she gives, so whatever that gives. So I'll play the video here. I don't know if I'll commentate through all of it, but I'll just kind of give some pointers as I'm going through this. Overall, I don't remember how many attempts I did on this. I was at this for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. The fight overall is mechanically easy. It's just the intermission is the hard part, and that add is really, really annoying. So the difference from double question mark to single question mark is that in double question mark, I believe there's more things to memorize in the intermission, but also an add spawns in the intermission, and that add's main ability is the cast that's interruptible that will one-shot you if you don't interrupt it. So I'll play it here from the start, and we'll kind of go through some things. So when I pull, I try not to use my big cooldowns. I guess in this video I did, so that kind of just makes me a liar, because but by the time the ad comes out 90%, I want to have all my cooldowns up for that. That is the most important thing for me, so I try to keep track of that. The Serpent Strike that the boss casts is like the one thing that just does so much damage. Sometimes it does a lot of damage, sometimes it does no damage. If you have cooldowns, definitely try to keep them up for that. I used my shield wall, the ignore pain, and if I could, the shield block whenever I could. Demoralizing shout also helped here as a warrior, just to try to minimize that damage as much as possible. I was also trying to pick up the health globs whenever I could and stand in the green circle that Valeera is dropping for me, just to try to mitigate as much of that damage as possible. Fun fact also, you might see me doing it in this video. I don't think it's this one, but if the boss was about to cast Soul Extinction, which is the interruptible cast, but then he goes into the mission, he will cast that immediately after the intermission. So if you need to stop DPS to make sure you're not getting that immediately after intermission, do that. So as you're seeing, I just waited a little bit, got that cast, and then I push him down 90%. So when the boss comes out, you're seeing as I'm moving around, I'm pressing the buttons on the right there for the add-on. It's a little bit difficult to get the hang of at first, so just play around with it, maybe on single question mark difficulty. And basically, as the boss is doing this, you're pressing the button as to where it is, and then you're going to see here, it says the green one is where I need to go now, the yellow one is where I'm going next. For me personally, all I needed to remember was where the first one was, because the things would end, and then I would have no idea where I'm at. So it'd be the first one, Skull. I'm like, well, I don't know where Skull is, and like I'd panic and then I'd die. So just try to see how that works for you, and just go from there. Personally, without this add-on, I don't think I would have done it. The first intermission I could do. The second one was kind of hit or miss. That third one was just impossible for me. I couldn't remember that many things, especially when you had something like Skull, X, Skull, Triangle, Skull, Skull. It was like, okay, this isn't helpful at all. Outside of that, I'll talk about it a little bit more when the next ad comes out. So let me just talk about a couple other things here. I try to tank the boss around the back of the room here, just because the green puddles that spawn, it makes it so much more difficult if they're in the center of the room and you're taking a whole bunch of damage. So try to fight the boss around the edge here. Not too close though, because when these green balls come out, sometimes they'll spawn like right on you or like right on the edge you're at. So don't fight them too close to the edge, but just enough to where these green puddles are out of your way. I try to always stand within like as close to the center as possible to minimize the amount of movement I need during the intermission. And then during this, like, just pop all your cooldowns, go ham, make sure you're interrupting soul extinction, because that's the thing that will kill you. Again, try to mitigate as much as possible the Serpent's Strike. Move out of the bad stuff. More green orbs also, or green balls, will spawn throughout this intermission as well, or throughout the fight as well as you pass each intermission. So just try not to get hit by those. There was one pull I did where I went back and I watched the video. I wasn't even close. It's not like I got clipped. I wasn't even close. I just got Phantom 1 millioned to death. So this fight may be a little bit buggy still, but personally, I think probably the easiest delve boss we've ever had. But that's just what I think. I don't know. So once I get the boss around 70%, I kind of consider whether or not I want to use my cooldowns. If you have like any long cooldowns, I would recommend just maybe saving them. If you're playing a tank at least, and it's kind of slower to get the boss down, or playing a DPS already, it's quicker to get the boss down, just so that way you have them for the ad. Because killing that ad in the intermission, honestly, outside of remembering the memory phase thing, that was mine. Don't worry about that. That was in your inbox. Outside of remembering that, killing that ad is the most important thing, because that ad will mess you up if it gets that cast in, and it's just so annoying as well because the boss cast it and the ad cast it. So sometimes what you'll see happen is that the ad's not dead yet, you have to interrupt the soul extinction, but then also the boss is casting it. So when that happens, you need to use your anything else to CC that ad. I don't know if fear works, but I know that stuns work, so I was able to use my shockwave and my stormbolt for my warrior. Both those came in super clutch. I think even in this video you'll see that, so we'll talk about it here. So you're gonna see boss goes in. I focus primarily first on getting safe, getting the first 2 locations down, and then I start worrying about the ad. I'll pop all my cooldowns right now just to start getting DPS, and the boss, with each intermission being longer, it's actually better because you have less time before the boss casts his soul extinction. So also one of the other things I'll do, you'll notice, let's stop talking here for a sec. So you can hear the callouts being happening, and then the countdowns from 5, those are for soul extinction and bigwig. So I set that to be a countdown as well. So as you see, the cast is over here. The boss has done the intermission, so I need to get this ad dead as fast as possible. So what I did there, instead of interrupting it, I stunned it, and then and immediately after that's done, it starts casting it again. So I had to use my other stun, and then I have to kill it within then. If I don't kill it then, I'm dead. If you have any other CCs, that will be helpful, but if the boss is close to done or is done the intermission, do not waste an interrupt on the ad. You have to CC it some other way, and if you can't, you're just gonna die. I did have multiple wipes to that, and like I said, one of the things also, try to min-max it and make it so that the boss does soul extinction, and then immediately after you push him into the phase, because then you have as much time as possible after the intermission to wait until he does soul extinction. You have time to actually kill the ad a little bit more, and possibly, depending on what the timing is, you might be able to interrupt the ad and then also the boss after, but it's a little iffy. From here, it's really just the same exact fight. You're just doing the exact same thing you did before. The only difference, again, is you're going to have more green balls coming out, and you're going to have the the last intermission at 30%, where I think it's 7 things you have to memorize. So that's pretty much it. I'll reiterate a couple things here just to kind of kill some time, but the most important thing, again, is the intermission, because if you go in the wrong spot, you'll die immediately, and also that Addon in the intermission, because if it gets soul extinction, that cast off, you die immediately. So Azta'rec Helper is a good add-on to help with not having to memorize everything. It, like I said, does take a little bit of getting used to, because as you're moving, you're also trying to click the buttons. If you need to, what you can do is you don't have to click the buttons right away. I don't think it matters. As long as you cast it before the boss, or click the button before the boss has done the whole cast, it'll work. So you, and don't quote me on this because I'm pretty sure I did this. I don't know for a fact though, because I was kind of focused on clicking buttons, but I'm pretty sure like there was a couple attempts where the boss was casting his second part of the intermission, and so I clicked what happened first and then second. So that also might work. So that way you don't have to like immediately remember or click buttons and stuff. But it also might help if you move the add-on somewhere else. I just put it in this position because it was the one that just worked best for me. I tried a few different positions, below my unit frames, to the left, way up high, like pretty much right in the center, which was really hard because sometimes what would happen is that it was actually better closer to the center, but it was harder to see whatever marker there is on the right. So you almost saw it there with X. Like I kind of almost didn't see X. Like right now, I don't know where Moon is. Like, oh, where's Moon? Oh, it's all over here. So it's just not great. And then during this phase, you have a whole bunch of orbs as well. If you have any movement speed increases, definitely save them for that phase or have them available for that phase, because you'll likely need them, especially in the second and most likely in the third intermission while those orbs are coming out. It just helps so much. Even if it's a heroic leap to get out of a dangerous spot, or like you're just not placed properly, definitely have those available. If you have something like blink, try not to blink into an orb, because those will do a lot of damage. So again, as you're seeing with the longer intermission here, it's less time that the boss has to cast his thing. So I'm just focusing the add. Number one thing is focus the add. Don't worry about the boss. Try to keep any defensives you have up. Definitely keep track of what he's casting. But again, soul extinction interrupts. The first one in that intermission, when the first interrupt that add does, you can interrupt that one. But a second one, that's when it becomes iffy. That's when you're going to have to use your stun, because it should almost be dead, because the boss is going to be pretty much done his cast by then, if not already done. But you're going to want to stun fear, I would assume works. Honestly, I don't know what other CCs there are, so just don't interrupt a second time on that add, unless you know for sure you can. I think some classes, not sure, I think they changed those, but I think one class has a shorter interrupt cooldown, so you might be able to do it on them. But yeah, but that's it. Once that last intermission is done at 30%, there is no more intermissions. You actually see it closer with when the boss is dead. He kind of just randomly kind of moves towards the middle, which made my heart drop, because I was like, oh my god, I thought I was done this. So he didn't though. There's only 3 intermission phases, and after this, it's just staying alive. The most important thing at this point is do not die. Your DPS doesn't matter. You can do very little DPS. Just interrupt, soul extinction, pick up any globs that Valeera is dropping for you to get health in. Make sure your defensives are up. Pop all of your offensive cooldowns. If you're getting Lust back at this point, or if you haven't used it yet, definitely use it by now, and just try to stay alive. That is the most important thing here, because if you die, you have to start all over again. And this, for me, this was what a... where's my mouse? This was a 11-minute fight as a tank. So imagine getting to this point, which, I mean, the lower I got, once I got to single percent, I was like, oh my god, if I die now, this is awful. I think there's actually, it might have already even happened, I wasn't paying attention, but there might be one specific point where I was kind of cornered by a bunch of orbs. So I was like, I need to just leap out of here, because I'm going to die if I get hit by these. And my heart at this point was pounding, it was racing, my hands are shaking, but I was still getting headshots. So I was very happy to get this done. Good luck to all of you out there. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. I feel like I've given all the information I have on this in this video, but if I can do anything to help, just let me know. I'll try. You have until the end of this week to get the Fabled Vanquisher title. That's the one to defeat the boss within the first week of Season 2. After that, you can still get the Feat of Strength for soloing it and for completing it. It just won't give you the title for the Fabled Vanquisher of Azta'rec. That is only available until August 25th in NA, and I believe August 26th in the EU. Let me just double check I have those dates right, actually. Close this. yeah, so 25th is when that thing stops, and 26th in EU. So good luck, have fun, and hopefully that was somewhat helpful.